What's going on, good people? What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. Man, action pack weekend of boxing. We're going to get into that in a little bit here, man. But curious to ask, man, has anybody been watching any of the Olympics, man? And if so, what have you been watching? I just finished watching up the women's 800-meter final, man. Always enjoy me some track and field. You guys know the background, man. Big Chris, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. Man, what's going on over in the UK, man? I be seeing a lot of news stuff talking about, people breaking into shops and stuff like that. What's going on over there, man? But before we begin, man, big thank you to everyone that is taking the time to tune into the weekly show, and for those that will watch after and catch the replay. Appreciate each of you for taking the time. As always, let's go over some of the stuff that we are going to be talking about on this week's episode of the show. Obviously, we're going to recap the whole weekend of boxing. So all of the fights that we saw. I didn't get a chance to really see much of what was happening over in the UK. Matter of fact, I had to catch some of the replay of the fights that was happening on the Bud and Madrimov card. So I missed a bunch of them, but I came back and watched them again. So we're just going to talk about all of those fights, Q&A segment, quote of the week, and then we'll close out the show and get on out of here, man. Jesus, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? Bakole, star of Saturday night, man. Hey. Not mad at that right there. He just might be. Pablo, what's going on, my man? Good to see you as always, man. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you always taking the time to tune in when you can, man. Much love and appreciation and respect, my brother. I hope the appointment went well last week as well, man. Poor performance by mostly entire card, Crawford card. We're going to get into it, man. We're going to get into it. 3 children were stabbed to death at a dancing event and were stabbed by Muslims, basically, and it's all kicked off. We have problems with certain people been in our country and the government are to blame. Man, I did not know it was like that. I just been seeing all the articles. I've been seeing looting stuff. I've been seeing everything. That's crazy. Jeez, man, that's tough, man. That's tough. Man, I got to do a little bit more research on that, man, just to see. But geez, man, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wild. Always been a joke. No wonder people want to leave, man. Man, I heard someone say, man, United Kingdom, but they don't feel united. It's wild, man. But thanks for that information, man. You had Anderson. He literally got his block. Yeah, I did have Jared Anderson. I did have Jared Anderson. I have no problems with getting a pick incorrectly, man. That's the one thing about me. But anyway, let's get things moving. Let's get things moving, man. Let's go our way to the bottom and let's go up. Let's talk a little Andy Cruz. What did you guys think about this fight? Andy Cruz stops Antonio Moran in the 7th round. Initially, I had Andy Cruz by stoppage in this one. Moran I think the only guy that stopped him has been Devin Haney. Cruz always has the skills, man. Excellent boxer. Skills always showed in the amateur level. Coming into the pros, we were going to see, can this guy sit down on his punches? Would he be able to generate some power and translate from the amateur level to the professional level? I thought he fought well in this fight, man. He fought a guy that was very, very experienced. He got a little bit of trouble. He got a shot. He got countered on that left side of his face, and he was stunned a little bit. But the great thing about this, man, is he did not panic, man. He didn't panic. He tied up, got out of the way, bought himself some time. A couple rounds, he was trapped on the corner a little bit, but again, didn't panic, showed great composure, and found a way to close out the show, man. I really like Andy Cruz training with Boozy and his team, man. It seems like they are really showing him how to really sit down on his shots, mixed with the skills that he already possesses. So I thought it was a very good performance. And you always want to see how someone is like when they've been tested. And I felt like we saw him tested a little bit and he answered that test. So, all in all, for me, I thought it was a good performance. And anytime you can get a stoppage, I mean, Antonio Moran's fought a lot of quality opponents, a lot of quality opposition. And, he had only been stopped once to that point, and it's always good, man. So I thought it was a good performance. He did get touched up a little bit, but he came through and got the nod. I was happy with the performance personally. Thought it was a good starter. Crawford versus Madrimov was one of the best fight cards ever. Stop watching the news. Yeah. Thought Jarrell won pretty comfortably. Man, we going to get there, but I share those sentiments as well. Crawford got exposed by bum boots, will knock him out. Crawford ducking boots. Man, I don't know about all that, man. I don't know about all that. Crawford sleeps, boots, chill out. Andy Cruz, the next Floyd Mayweather. Oh, man, I don't know. I don't know about that either. I don't know about that either, man. Rayo, good win, but should have stayed in pocket more to finish Pitbull. Man, I think if he would have stayed in the pocket a little bit more, he would have got himself in trouble a little bit, man. So he fought a very disciplined fight. I had Andy Cruz stoppage too. It was plus 700 for under 8 in round 6. I did not pull on that trigger, man. That would have been something? But still, hey, any positive payday is a good positive payday, man. Beautiful performance from Andy. He will gain a lot of confidence after this fight. I agree. But man, Madrimov is a good, solid fighter, man. I don't know why everybody thinks Madrimov was just trash like this. I don't know where that mentality came from, man. Andy needed that statement win. I had him on points. Andy Cruz shouldn't be rushed. Still, for me, needs to take right steps up. Won't be shocked to see him versus Gary Cully, both Hearn fighters. That would be a good fight too, man. Look, I get the fact that Andy Cruz, he's 27, 28 years old, and they feel like they need to rush him a little bit. But every person that he's fought, like Moran, he stopped Moran. Moran's over 25 plus fights in. Like, that's an experienced fighter that he was able to stop. So I agree with this one, Chris, man. I don't think he should be rushed into fighting anybody too great just yet, because if that shot that Moran landed consistently, he might have been in trouble. But I thought it was a very good performance, man. Madrimov a bum. Man, everybody doesn't know Madrimov like that, man. So is what it is. But Madrimov is no joke. And let's not like, Madrimov caught Bud a few times. Bud eye was a little swollen a little bit, man. Madrimov did all right. H Money clearly, yeah. He might just get himself limited if you don't change up this nonsense, man. It's okay for everybody to have perspective. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind none of that. But ain't nobody ducking nobody, man. All right, let's keep things pushing, man. Let's talk about David Morrell over Hot Rod. What do you guys think of this performance, man? What did I have? Initially, I had David Morrell by stoppage, and Hot Rod had only been stopped once before, obviously when he fought Artur Beterbiev, but he fought Beterbiev and fought a pretty good fight. David Morrell has some good moments, man. I thought there was some opportunities there where he could have maybe stopped Hot Rod if he would have pressed it a little bit more, but he became a little heavy-handed. He became a little trying to aim for the knockout rather than going to the body. He was trying to get that one shot, caught him a couple times, had him falling back on the ropes a couple times. But I don't think it was as bad as a performance as many people might be saying, man. Like, you never know how it's going to be when someone moves up. And I don't know if a lot of people didn't know Hot Rod like that, but he's a good, solid fighter. Like, he's not chopped liver. Like, this was it was going to be a tough fight, and it was going to showcase where exactly David Morrell was. David Morrell has been dominant for the past couple fights. And for him to move up and get tested like this, man, I thought it was a good fight. And when you think about David Benavidez, like, David Benavidez dominated his last performance at 175. But then there's a lot of people that saying, man, David Benavidez is a weight bully and this and that, so you just got to give people some grace as they're moving up to try to do something different. So I'm not as critical about this performance as many others are. I thought it was a good performance. He got clipped a couple times. That chin was tested a little bit. He became headhunting a little bit too much for me. But all in all, he took some shots that he probably could have been more defensively responsible. And he gave out some shots that maybe would have stopped guys at 168. But at 175, they're a little bit tougher. They're a little bit stronger. They can deal with a little bit more. So I thought it was a good performance. Was it a great performance? I don't think so. But I thought it was a good quality performance going up another division. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what he does next. Does he stay at 175? Does he go at 168? I think if he stays at 175, he'll be able to handle things a little bit better in the sense of he will grow into that and he will get stronger. He will get the speed will catch up. Everything will catch up to him and he'll be able to work on that at 175 if he chooses to stay there. If he goes back down to 168, who knows what the opportunities could be there. But all in all, he did a good job. Hot Rod is a good fighter, and I thought he dealt with it well. So I thought it was a good performance, man. Madrimov beats Tim Tszyu, in my opinion. That would be a good fight, man. That'd be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. Okay, let's keep things going. Let's keep things pushing. Yeah, we're not worrying about that cat, man. We're not worried about that dude, man. Brother Francisco, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. I appreciate that picture you just sent me about the 100-meter final, man. We'll talk about that a little bit later, man. I had to watch highlights all fight as always. I'm away in Scotland for a couple of days, holiday back in England tomorrow. I don't have to stay up to watch fights in America. Man, I was fighting it hard, man. That Eminem performance, I was like, I like the performance, but I'm like, yo, it's about to be 1 o'clock, my guy. Like we got to wrap things up a little bit. Canelo beats both Davids. Okay, I'm not mad at that, man. I'm not mad at that. Morel is nice. I couldn't find any props for his fight on my sports book. I think the under-over was at 4.5. Yeah. I think Morel beats Benavidez at 168, 175. I'm not sure if he beats Beterbiev or Bivol. Yeah. That's interesting, man. That's very interesting. Again, we know Morel is always going to call out David Benavidez until Benavidez, accepts the fight. But, I at this point, like, I think I would still lead Benavidez to get it done. I think it'll be a close fight. But for me, I just think the experience right now of David Benavidez would work in his favor. But no doubt in mind, that would be a close fight, a great fight. And that pay-per-view headline worthy right there. Slightly underwhelming from Morel on his debut at light heavyweight, but it's understandable. Moving up, got tired in the last few rounds, wasn't using his feet, reflexes, but give him benefit of the doubt. And I think also the other thing with him too is just like, when you've been having your way and knocking people out, you become punch happy. And when you're hitting a guy and they don't necessarily fall down, it either you find a way how to get around that, go into the body, biding your time, or you become a little bit antsy and you become a little bit putting yourself in danger to get it done. Because some of the shots that Hot Rod caught him with, he didn't move his head off of the line as he usually was. We know he's reactive with his movements. He's explosive. But, I just felt like he was trying to prove that no matter where division I am, I'm going to stop anybody that comes in my way. And I just felt like he was headhunting a little bit too much. Maybe Morel and Benavidez have to grow into the weight. You'd have to favor Bivol and Beterbiev against them both. Absolutely. I agree. Love to see Morel and Vosdick next. Yeah, that would be a good fight, man. Morel, even though Simon Reming was dominant, I'm kind of disappointed about Morel's performance. Think he overestimated how he transfers his power in the new division. You can also see the frustration in his face. Absolutely. When you're punching a cat, and they're there and they're taking the shot, but they're not falling down. Like they're not backing up. They're just there. You're like, wait a minute, I'm hitting this guy with my best shots and he's still there. And so that can make you question if you have that type of power that people think that you do and that you do. So I just think, a couple fights after he would probably get the rhythm of it, get his flow, and he'd be all right, man. He'd be all right. Morrell versus Yard next. That's a tough one, man. Anthony Yard gets hit, but that man has some punishing power. Like he caught Better Biev with some punishing shots as well, too, man. That would be, I don't know. Personally, I think that one might be a little too early for Morrell. Not saying he loses, but I don't know, man. He the shots that Hot Rod caught him with, he can't take too much of Anthony Yard's shots like that, man. Yeah, good fight. I also picked Madrimov over Tim Tszyu. Eminem almost put me to sleep too. You knew some of the songs that he was probably gonna play, but it was just too late, bro. It was too late. It was too late. Benavidez versus Morrell at 168 or 175 is true 50-50 to me. I agree. Let's keep things pushing, man. Let's go over to the heavyweights, not the main event heavyweight. Let's go to Martin Bakole. Stops Jared Anderson in 5 rounds. Man, what'd you guys think of this performance here? Initially, I picked Jared Anderson to win this on points because I felt like Jared Anderson was going to be disciplined enough to not stay in the pocket with the bigger man that can punch. If he could have stayed away from that man for the first 5 to 6 rounds, the first half of the fight, we know that's when Bakole is at his most dangerous. We know that's when he is firing on all cylinders and the punches are heavy, it's snappy, the speed is going to be there. But I'm like, if Anderson can survive the first 6 to 7 rounds, Cole's going to slow down and he's going to be able to get his shots off if he could survive. In the game plan, first round, I'm like, what are you doing trying to fight this man face to face? I don't know what the game plan was going into that fight, what they discussed for Jared Anderson. I don't know if he went against the grain and to say, nah, like, I'm not going to do that. But once I saw the first round, I was just like, the game plan is not going to work in your favor. That is the only reason why I thought Anderson was going to beat Martin Bakole, was him being disciplined enough to stay on the outside. He had the speed, he has the boxing skill, but he did not listen to anything that his trainers were saying, man. It looked bad. It looked bad. It looked bad. It looked rough. It looked like he didn't know what to do when he got knocked down the first time. He looked shocked. And Bakole just started to put them hands on him, man. Those big punishing shots, those uppercuts. It was a rough performance from Jared Anderson, man. It was rough. I don't think he had the right game plan. I don't know why he did not. That wasn't the game plan. Maybe he didn't listen. I'd love to hear more about the corner, what they think, but terrible game plan. And it costed him immensely in the fight, man. So now Bakole, I would love to see Bakole Zhang. That would be a fantastic fight. So maybe we get that, maybe we don't. But as far as Jared Anderson, now a lot of people were saying, man, his love for the sport isn't there. Like he's cooked, like he's washed. And I'm not on that team, man. I've been around a lot of athletes who don't love necessarily what they do, but are still successful at it. I can think of a guy right now who just got Olympic bronze medalist, who just won Olympic medal, who may not necessarily love what he does, but he's great at it. I think Jared is a good fighter, but there are some things that he needs to work on, and discipline being one of them. I don't think his career is shot. If anything, maybe this makes him a little bit hungrier. Maybe this makes him a little bit more inspired to get back into the gym, to redeem myself, and to get back to work, But this was not the right game plan against Bakole. and it did not work in his favor, man. Bakole looked great. He looked great. He looked great. All right, let me go to the comments and see what everybody's saying. Morel versus Yard, that would absolutely be a fire fight. Jones Verde, but he's got the rounds in light heavyweight. In Olympics and fill to women. Is it me or does it feel like a lot more bandwagon fans for Crawford after his fight versus Spence? Yeah, that's kind of how some boxing fans are, man. That's kind of how some boxing fans are, man. Bakole a monster, man. Yeah, he definitely did his thing. Martin Bakole versus Zhang would be fire. You better believe. Yo, I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. Hey, Sue says Jesse Hart versus Morel. That's a very good question, man. That's a good matchup. That's a good matchup. I think I'd still favor Morel there, actually. Bakole walked up to this dude, Anderson, like George Foreman. Man, I couldn't quite put it in my mind. I'm like, yo, who does Bakole remind me of right now? George Foreman was the guy that was in my mind that I couldn't get the words out. So I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, it definitely looked just like that. I thought Bakole would gas out, to be honest, but proved a step too early for Anderson. First time Anderson faced a demolition puncher, and it was demolition job by Bakole. Yeah, man, it was bad. 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 Jared Anderson cost me 900, but I made 45 off the Miller versus Ruiz Jr. Valenzuela. Man, you got the money back, man. You got the money back. That casual walk in the boom. Yeah, it was strong. It was sturdy. It was right. It was right. Bakole versus Zhang is the fight to make. Chaos, carnage, firecracker, 6-round shootout. Yeah, man. I know they've been talking about trying to get Zhang a fight in China. That fight would go crazy. That fight would be exciting for the fans, for the people there, and you would have to think that would end by some type of stoppage. But that would be a great fight. But I could also see it was one of those fights, too, that both men would probably come in like 300 pounds. So when you see Bakole 284, man, I'm like, yo, that's a good weight for him. But I like this fight right here. Was this a cash out fight for Anderson? He had commitment issues before this fight. Man, I thought about that, bro. Like, I thought about that because a lot of people were saying, why would he take this fight so early? But it's also like, man, I know a lot of boxers who not making like nothing, man. Like going into the ring at $3,000, $6,000. And when you get an opportunity to fight for a big chunk of money, like you have to take it. You know what I'm saying? You'd be kind of foolish not to, even if the odds may be extremely stacked in your favor. I hope it's not that though, bro, because I do think Jared Anderson is a very talented individual, but I hope that's not the mentality going in. As a former athlete myself, I have to assume that that's not the mentality going in. But I would not be mad if people thought that as well, too. My man Pablo, man, I appreciate your generosity, man. This really means a lot, man. Thank you so much for that, my brother. I really appreciate that. And the words. It's always love, man. Thank you for that. Anderson moves to cruiserweight. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at that. But there are some dogs in that division too. Man. Anderson has good shot selection. Matthew G, what's going on, man? Thank you for this comment. Anderson has good shot selection, but he needs to work on his discipline and defense. Best bet for him was to maintain distance in box. Bakole is no Riyad Murray or Charles Martin. Man, Matthew, that is when I made the prediction of the video, that was my mindset going in. I said, surely Jared Anderson is not going to get in there and be right in front of Bakole like that. Surely that couldn't be the game plan. You can stay on the outside, use your jab, use your speed, the hands, your athleticism, but stay away. And he didn't stay away, man. He didn't stay away. And that's the great things about like any type of prediction. It's like you just never know how it's going to fight, man. That's what makes it interesting. When we talk about predictions, man, we're just hypothetically speaking, and we think it can go this way. We think this is going to happen, and it goes completely the opposite way, just like this fight here. I second Zhang Bakole banger, absolutely. Someone said that Bakole looked like a dad disciplining his son. You're my son. Go to your D2B, man. Don't say that, bro. Don't say that, man. But honestly, it kind of it kind of looked like that. And I like Big Baby, man. I hope he doesn't. I hope it wasn't that cash out fight. Um, and I hope that this is a kind of wake up call for him, man, to get back into the gym, to get inspired, to get motivated. And I hope we get to see him sooner than later. I hope we get to see him sooner than later, man. I was shocked Anderson took the fight in the first place. This would be a wake-up call. Yeah, but Chris, money talks, man. Money talks. Anderson is way too big to go cruiserweight. He'd be like the only dude at that fake weight, Bridger weight. Too many divisions, man. I don't even. What pound is Bridger weight? Was it 200 plus? What is that? Jared needs a new defensive philosophy. He burns a lot of energy on defense and still gets hit. He needs to simplify his approach. Yeah, man, he did not perform anyway like how I expected him to that fight, man. I don't know. Maybe sometimes some parts of the male ego, you're thinking, I can take this guy's shot. He's not this heavy puncher like many of you are making him out to be. Maybe that's what he felt until it was just too late. But he definitely, I hope that he goes back, gets inspired, and doesn't just throw in the towel and we don't hear from him no more, man, because he's a tremendous talent. Just not the greatest game plan and not the greatest execution, man. Definitely some changes could possibly better. I wouldn't even mind seeing, Jared Anderson, give me a Derek Chisora. I wouldn't mind seeing that. To defeat Bakole, you have to land him 3 punches per round and then run like a Safa Pal. Hey, man, I see you, Pablo, with the track and field knowledge, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah, that was Michael Hunter's plan, but the fight would have been interesting if Bakole didn't hurt his hand, how that one would have played out. But I appreciate that Asafa Pal track analogy, man. Davino, what's going on? Coming in a bit late, but I know this would happen as defensive flaws were going to cost him dearly in this fight. Yeah, man, it exactly happened, man. You were right. Zhang and Parker deserve title shots at the same time. So if not Zhang or Parker next for Bakole, I'd like to see Bakole versus Caballal as an alternate. That's a very good fight. Caballal has been making a really nice name for himself in the recent last year. He did really well. A lot of great surprises. That's a good fight as well too, man. Hit the like button with the left hook. Yes, sir. Y'all heard my brother Francisco. Appreciate you, man. Hit that like button if you're already here. Is Bakole promoted by Boxer? I'm not 100% sure on that. Chris already got us answered, man. Would actually like to love to see Bakole fight Caballal. I'd like to see that as well too. But I wouldn't mind, for Jared Anderson, I wouldn't mind like to see him against a Derek Chisora. That would be a good fight as well too. Let's keep things pushing, man. Let's keep going down the card. Let's talk a little bit of the other big baby, Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller fight to a draw. What do you guys think about this fight? And the question on the bottom there is, do you want to see a rematch of this fight, as they are going to, as Andy said, that they could do it again? Man, I personally thought that Jarrell Miller edged the fight. I thought he got the nod. There were some rounds where I wasn't even sure how Andy Ruiz made it to the end. He looked exhausted. He looked winded. He just looked fried. But he was able to survive. And even if Gerald, there were a couple close rounds where I'm like, yo, Miller, what are you doing? And I'm saying, why are you not letting your hands go, man? You're coming forward and you're slightly getting outworked a little bit. What's going on here? And because of those rounds, man, he didn't separate himself when those rounds were close. I thought he did a great job on the back end of the fight and won a bunch of those rounds after he lost some of the early rounds. But it was some very close rounds. I'm actually not terribly mad at the draw either, but I did think Miller won the fight. But I don't believe that it was a draw, but I'm not mad at it. But I thought Miller did enough to get it done. But personally, I don't want to see a rematch of this fight. I don't need to see a rematch. His fight was a little bit underwhelming in some parts, but you know, it was just good to see Andy Ruiz back into the ring, man. And he did look very rusty. His conditioning looked very bad. If Miller would have let his hands go and committed to that, there's a good chance Ruiz would have got dropped because he got caught with some shots, and there were some moments where he looked extremely wobbly, and it just I don't know. He's been looking pretty shaky to me in his last 3 performances, Andy Ruiz. And again, it's not that I think Andy Ruiz is a better complete fighter, but Miller's style in this fight, man, he was just constant pressure moving forward, but he did not let his hands go as much as he probably should have, and that's probably what cost him the win and the victory. But I don't know. I don't have any interest in seeing this rematch personally. To answer the question, um, I'm I'm all right with these guys fighting whomever next. And if the rematch is going to take place, Andy Ruiz broke his arm, broke his hand, so he's probably going to have to go and get surgery. So that's more time off. It's like, why would you wait around for that fight? Just go fight somebody else. So interesting fight, a little underwhelming in some sparks, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But I wouldn't. I'm expecting the rematch. I wouldn't be mad at it. Do I want to see it? No. Am I going to watch it if it happens again? Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. But uh, I was hoping either man would have won, so we can just kind of move past that. Okay, let's go back to the comments. I'm surprised that Zhang hasn't had a mega fight in China yet. Yeah, they're probably waiting till his name was probably a little bit bigger so it would make more sense. Even though anytime Zhang would fight in China, that place would probably sell out instantly. I said Anderson in 10th round on points. I was wrong because I thought Bakole would gas out, but I said Bakole would be dangerous in the first half of the fight. Those are my sentiments as well, Chris. I thought the first 6th round, Bakole going to be dangerous. But I thought after the 6th round, if Anderson is still there, he would be able to box his way to a victory. I assume Bakole would gas out as we've seen him do before. But to his credit, man, he did not. He made sure that he didn't give that type of energy. He made sure we didn't see that. He didn't gas out, so good performance. I think Bridgerweight is like 230. Anderson weighs about 250 solid. Yeah, I think he would be way too weight drained at 230, dropping all that weight going down. Nah, I think he should stay here. Makes you think how the heck did Michael Hunter scored a 2 and took Bakole's punches pretty good. I also think during that time, man, Bakole was pretty raw. I think now he's a lot better, and he's moving with a certain level of confidence. Like so, but in the rematch, man, I don't know. I think Bakole stops Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter, after the loss, hasn't been showing the greatest performances, but Michael Hunter's combinations that fight, man, he was throwing punches in bunches, and that was enough on the night. I'd make Anderson Quadri next winnable fight, get back to winning ways. I still can't believe Anderson got beat up. Yeah. Man, anything can happen in boxing, man. That's why nothing is guaranteed. I think Hunter is mandatory for a belt. They could do a rematch, and it makes sense too. Iram, it makes sense. It makes sense. Smash that like button. Don't literally smash it because you would break the device you're watching it on. Yeah. And devices are expensive nowadays, man. But I thought Miller won the fight 75. I made 2,700 off the draw. Were you live betting, or did you just sprinkle a little bit on that draw? Miller won. Yeah, I thought so too. Ruiz Jr. also looks mentally checked out from boxing. Man, I don't know, man. I would not be surprised at that. But I don't know. He just, he did not look good to me. And even some of the stuff that you're saying, like after during the interview, man, it was like, he was talking about the broken hand and he was pointing to it, and that was the reason why it didn't happen. It's like, yeah, we get that the hand is broken, man. But when you just make it so adamant that that was the point, it just makes you seem like you're looking for an excuse, you know. But another good payday for Andy Ruiz. I'm sure he made a good bit of money. Honestly, I'm not expecting him to be in the sport much longer. I personally think, and I hope I'm wrong because I like Andy Ruiz, but I think that AJ win is going to be the thing that we remember him the most when it comes to the heavyweight division. It's his biggest win, you know. Ruiz should just retire, to be honest. But I did see a draw. Ruiz never put the tacos down after that defeat against Anthony Joshua. Man, I heard he was like eating like a whole bunch of like hot dogs at a stand, like a week out from the fight. So if y'all seen that too, let me know. I hope I'm not making that one up. If someone did win, it was definitely Miller. We saw the inactiveness did to Ruiz, but karma is a beep, is all I say to Miller. No sympathy from him. I know he is serial drug cheat. I don't like him. I hear you, man. I hear you. Rematch needs to happen immediately, obviously, but apparently they're not going to do a rematch. Turkey wants to give Miller a big fight. They really like Jarrell Miller, man. And I really hope that he continues to take it this serious and continues to train with Boots and Boozy in his training camp. I think they really helped him prepare in this fight. And I was actually really impressed with his conditioning, really impressed by that because he came forward. Yeah, he looked tired a little bit in the back end, but he was consistent with his work rate in the second half of the fight. In the beginning, it took him a couple of rounds to get going. And he would have even won one or two of those rounds, probably would have got the nod on the scorecards. Didn't seem like Ruiz has that desire anymore. He clearly didn't train as hard, got tired early. Skeptical that Ruiz can get back to top level. Too bad. He's a fun fighter with talent. Yeah, I agree, my brother Francisco, man. I hope I'm wrong, but we might have seen the best version of Andy Ruiz again when he fought AJ. He was very hungry when he fought AJ and got the opportunity, but obviously we saw what happened after that. Turkey told Miller he's going to get a big fight next. Could be Chisora or Parker. Man, good for him, man. Good for him. If he can get it, good for him. Miller slightly edged it, but man, is he frustrating to watch. There were multiple moments throughout the fight where he would just stalk Ruiz. Exactly what I'm saying as well, too, man, Matthew. You saw it as well, too. And I'm sure everybody in the chat saw it as well, too. You're just looking at the screen like, yo, my brother, what are you doing? Like, let the hands go. Like, if you just let the hands go, if he let his hands go consistently, I think he would have stopped Ruiz. Ruiz was gassed. The last 30 seconds was he would just drop his hands and Miller would just come forward and land one or two shots. And then their 10-second lull. And then the last 10 seconds, he would just, hit him with everything that he got. But I'm just like, come on, man. If you would just be more consistent, you had him right where you wanted him. It got to a certain point where it was Miller's fight to lose, So I still don't believe Miller is good at all. He's a gatekeeper for me, just like Chisora. So that fight would make sense. Yeah, that would be a good fight. That'd probably be a really exciting fight, man. I live bet on Miller versus Ruiz. Live betting is the methods to go. Yeah, man, it seems like you caught that at the right time. Really disappointed with Ruiz inactiveness, maybe played part, but I've always thought he's the man to be at the top when big boys have retired. Yeah, it puts him in a very interesting position now, because after that performance, why is it going to make sense for anybody, especially the top guys? But we'll see. Why it got to be tacos, man. I don't know, man. Miller runs off his mouth at pressers. That's why they like him. He sells fights, right? Ruiz Jr. versus Joshua, 1 odds. Ruiz was plus 1,100 to win. One of the biggest upsets in boxing heavyweight history. Chisora says he wants to fight in China in one of his final 2 fights. Please keep Chisora away from. Yeah, I don't want to see Chisora in that one, man. Let's keep things pushing, though, man. Let's go to the co-main event. Let's go Valenzuela and Isaac Pitbull Cruz. So initially here, for me, I had Isaac Cruz. I thought the pressure of Isaac Cruz was going to get him the win. I've said it a bunch of times before in different videos. I always have believed that Isaac Cruz is a very one-dimensional fighter. You know the style that's going to come his way is going to come forward, but the relentless pressure every single round, second to second, minute to minute, just wears guys down. You add that with his chin, and he's just a tough cat to beat. Not that he is the most talented nor the most skilled fighter out there by no means. I think he's a one-dimensional fighter, but he does what he does very well. I did not think that Valenzuela was going to be disciplined enough to evade Pitbull Cruz and not get sucked into fighting his fight and staying and trading with Pitbull Cruz as he did with Edwin De Los Santos. But man, that was an excellent performance from Valenzuela. He needed to stay disciplined in this fight, and that's exactly what he did. He did not stay in the pocket too long. He boxed on the back foot very well, and when he came on the front foot, he was disciplined with that as well too. Jab was good. He landed some nice uppercuts on Pitbull Cruz, some nice flush shots. Man, this was I know a lot of people think that that fight, Martin Bakole, was the highlight of the night, and that's perfectly cool. Like that's I got no arguments there. But for me, I thought Valenzuela, I thought his performance was the performance of the night for me, man. I thought he fought a really, really excellent fight, man. He needed to be disciplined, and that's exactly what he did. So I'm happy he got the nod, man. And there's supposed to be a rematch, which is going to be interesting. But I've also heard Valenzuela, Edwin De Los Santos might move up to 140, and they may try to get that rematch at 140 for the belt. The other thing too that I thought about too when I did the breakdown of that video, man, Isaac Cruz has become uber popular. And so it makes you think on the cards, even if he is losing and it's a close fight, the popularity could sway for Pitbull Cruz, and it almost did, So it was good to see that the right man won the fight. But I was very, very impressed with Valenzuela. I was glad that the skills that he does possess was able to be on display. But there were some moments where he got caught with some shots, and I was just like, oh, man, get out the way, get out the way. I don't have any favorites when I make predictions, man. I don't have no favorites. But I'm really glad that he did win the fight, man, because he definitely earned it. But Isaac Cruz, man, he wants the rematch. He felt like he won the fight. I don't feel like he won the fight. Maybe you guys felt like he won the fight, but I thought it was a good rematch. Do we want to see a rematch? I'm not overly excited about it, but I don't really care if we see it again. I would like to see Valenzuela and Edwin go in that rematch at 140. Interesting fight, but good performance, man. Good performance, man. Good performance. Good performance. You know what it is. And a thought just came to mind. When we think about Pitbull Cruz, he kind of reminds me of two people. And maybe you guys can see it too. Maybe you guys don't. But it kind of reminds me a little Nick Ballish in some similarities, and Sean Porter a little bit, right? Sean Porter a little bit, because Sean Porter, he'd be lunging, letting the hands go, and he'd be mauling you a little bit. It just reminds me a little bit of that. But Nick Ball is a lot more accurate and kind of intentional with what he's doing offensively. Sometimes to me, it just looks like Pitbull Cruz is just throwing shots. He just throwing and trying to land, trying to come over the top. But Valenzuela needed to fight a disciplined fight, and I felt like he did just that, man. So it was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. I'd make Ruiz, Franklin. That's a good fight. I forgot about Jermaine Franklin. Yeah. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. Stylistically, Ruiz, Franklin might be a boring fight. But Chisora and Miller, that's a Alice Sheik gonna love that. Alice Sheik gonna love that. And I got a question for y'all when we get to the Q&A section, man, because we'll talk when we get there. Eric R., what's going on, big dog, man? Good to see you, man. Hope you and Mrs. R are doing well, man. Appreciate you taking the time as always, man. Um, Low Clarity, what's going on? I'm good. I'm glad I didn't have to try to predict any of the fights on this card. There were a lot of 50-50 fights on this card, man. Pitbull got outboxed. He did. He did. He did. He did. Valenzuela was plus 461 before the fight. I cashed in on Valenzuela money line, method of victory. Man, you had a very nice weekend of boxing picks, man. Good for you, man. Make that bread. Not an upset for me. I thought Cruz would win, but wow. Jose was most impressive performance of the night, managed to keep Pitbull off of him and Cruz to boxing points. Yeah, man, I really like the game plan that Robert Garcia and those guys did. But at the same time, just because you have the game plan doesn't mean you're going to execute it down to a T. And Valenzuela executed that down to a T. He was locked in from round one and never wavered. It was an excellent performance, man. I really like that. I really like that. Good for him. Valenzuela boxed beautifully. I think Valenzuela is nice. Man, he definitely probably gained a whole bunch of respect after this fight from many. Valenzuela versus De Los Santos, I would like to see it. I'd make Jose Valenzuela the winner of Barroso and Hiroko as his first title defense, man. You know, shout out to that man, Ishmael Barroso, man. I'd make Pitbull, Matias winnable for both men. Need to get back to winning ways. That would be a very good fight. Definitely would end in somebody you would think would get stoppage. I think Pitbull's overrated, but he has his fan-friendly fighting style. Look, Pitbull Cruz is a very basic fighter. I've always thought that. But he does what he does very well, and it's carried him pretty far to this point. And he's got a good story, man. So I'm glad that the opportunities that he's came have worked for him. Have worked for him. He'll be back, as you said. As you said, he's a very popular, fan-friendly style, so he's gonna be back. I made 1K on Valenzuela by decision. Hey, man, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Pitbull's gear box was just two options: park and drive. You right about that. You right about that. My brother Eric R says Pitbull is almost like a small hybrid of Sean Porter and Maidana. Yeah, I forgot about Maidana. That's another one. No, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's a good comparison, man. Jose won comfortably. I thought the same thing. I didn't think it was a split decision by no means. I was like, yeah, that's a clear Valenzuela boxing his way to a victory, man. But again, like, we knew Valenzuela was good. I just did not think he was going to stay disciplined. You know, I had no doubt they'd come in with a game plan. Robert Garcia, former trainer of the year, they know what they're doing over there. But could he stay disciplined enough to execute the game plan? And he did that. I didn't think he could, but did he ever? You know, discipline is one thing that you're never really sure how it's going to play out inside the ring, man. When you go in there and a brother punches you in the face, your first initial thought is to, wait a minute, I got to get my get back and I got to move forward and start swinging. And that's when folks got caught. That's what happened against De Los Santos. And so for him to come in, even when Pitbull Cruz did land the overhand shot and the looping shot, he stayed calm and stayed patient and wasn't reactive, right? He responded. There's a big difference between reacting and responding. When you react to something, you put yourself in harm's way. But when you respond to a person's shots, you're like, okay, you got me there, but I'm not about to get myself in trouble here. That's learned and gained through experience. And I think he learned from the Colbert fight and also learned from the Edwin De Los Santos fight. So it was very good performance, man. But discipline for me was the word that got Valenzuela the win, man. So really good performance. Well done, CCC. You're right. It was the discipline. Pitbull versus Matias. Yes, I believe Chris said that. So that's two of you that say that. That's a great fight too. I'd love to see that one. We need Pitbull versus Matias. This would be a banger for sure. No doubt about that, Ace. Not that interested in a Valenzuela Cruz rematch right now. Cruz should do a get-back fight. Valenzuela should go against De Los Santos or another top 140 guy. I'm with you on that. Nick Ball is a better version than Isaac Cruz. I agree. A lot more precise, a lot more accurate, and a lot more strategy behind what he's doing. What I like about Pitbull is he fights to his strengths and he stays in his chest. Yeah, exactly. And with him, you can never ignore the physical disadvantages. Pitbull Cruz, he was never, to me, he's never going to be a guy that fights on the outside. His arms aren't that long. It's not good. So he has to get on the inside. And to this point, it's been working for him. But it's good to see the fighter with the better physical attributes actually fight to their advantages. So I agree right here, my brother Eric, man. He does fight to his strengths. Robert Garcia deserves credit for instilling a good game plan to beat Pitbull. Would like to see Valenzuela defend his title and then fight Liam Paro. I like that fight. Raya versus Liam Paro would be a good fight. 8-4, Jose had it in the bag, maybe 9-3. Canelo's Alvarez trainer, manager Eddie Reynoso, has revealed that they're eyeing a potential fight for Canelo in Japan in December when he beats Edgar Berlanga. Who would he fight over there, though? Yeah, like, look, I'm all for that fight over in Japan. You know what I'm saying? But who would he fight over there, man? Pitbull is overrated. Pitbull is regressing fast, in my opinion. That walk down, people only worked at 130, 135. You ain't walking nobody down at 140. What's up, Akeem? J-Dap, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in with us, man. It's always love. Cruz versus Matias seem like a good option right now since both are coming off losses. And these are fights that work to each other's strengths, right? They don't have to cut off the ring like that. They don't have to chase anybody. They can just be right there in front of each other. So it's one of those fan-friendly fights. Can we cool down on Matthias talk? That guy ain't world-class. He's a puncher. I hear you, man. Murata, if Canelo fights in Japan, oh, yeah, that would be lights out for Murata. Canelo would cherry pick like he's been doing. I must salute Sibonese. What's going on, man? Good to see you. I must salute Robert Garcia for the great work, which keeps on showing with his fighters. Valenzuela with the winner of Catterall and Prograis. I heard that fight was delayed again. But let's keep things pushing, man. Let's talk about the main event. What do you guys think of Bud's performance right here? And what's next for Bud? And what about Madrimov? Now, there's a lot of people that think that Madrimov is the best 154-pounder. I feel like just from what I've been seeing, in the comments, but also, people who have DM'd me and seeing on social media, man, a lot of people, either think Madrimov is really good or they think he's terrible. Now, I never thought that he was terrible. I think most people just aren't really aware of Madrimov, but at the same time, in this fight, I felt like Madrimov gave Bud way too much respect. All that herky-jerky movement, it was good for the first couple rounds, but you weren't firing anything for me, man. You weren't doing enough. And Bud is a guy that you got to try to overwhelm him a little bit because he's too accurate, too precise, too fast with the hands, quick counters. I just felt like Madrimov gave him way too much respect. But was it a spectacular Bud fight? I think when you watch it back and you watch some of the stuff that he was doing from in close, I thought Bud fought a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but it was a good fight. The uppercuts were nice. He was aggressive on the inside when he needed to be. He was slipping in a lot of shots. Madrimov wasn't blocking all of those shots. Bud got caught with a couple shots defensively. It wasn't the greatest performance that we've seen from him. Madrimov caught him with some clean flush shots, some overhand left shots that landed clean, but Bud took those shots well. Both men didn't come out of this fight unscathed. They were both touched up a little bit, but I felt like it was a good performance, man. Like Madrimov, it wasn't a light walk in the park, So I felt like at 154, that was a good introduction to the division. I thought Bud fought well. The power, maybe the power wasn't there as it was at 140, which is okay for me because when someone moves up to a division, man, I give them grace off rip because I'm like, we got to see how things go. We got to see how things move. It's too early to kind of say at times. So for me, I just wanted to see how it was going to be after when they get in there so we can really get a good eye test for it. So he was still landing some good shots, but it wasn't really pushing Madrimov back. But I thought he boxed well. Bud is just a superior boxer, man. Really good skills, really good talent. But I thought it was a good fight, not a great fight, but Bud did some really good things inside of the ring. But after that, it just made me think, right? I never wanted to see Bud versus Canelo anyway, but now I really don't want to see it. There's weight divisions for a reason, man. We're asking Bud to go up from 154 to 160 and then go up to 168. That's 3 divisions just like that. Obviously, if the fight is made and the money is right, we're probably going to see it. But that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight. But all in all, for me, before I go to the comments, good performance from Bud. He fought a very tough opponent in Madrimov. But I'm going to give him some grace here, man. Bud is still that guy to me. You know what I'm saying? He's still that guy, but he wasn't tough. And even the Fundora fight, Fundora makes a lot more mistakes than Madrimov, but the physical advantage could be interesting. I think Fundora gives anybody problems, man. That's not going to be an easy fight, but curious to get your guys' thoughts on that, man. What you guys think? Did you like it? Let me know. Okay, let's go to these comments. Pick up where we left off. Only casuals thought Crawford would make easy work of Madrimov. Man, someone DM'd me and said, Joaquin, bro, I watched the breakdown. Bro, you're talking reckless, bro. Bud is going to stop this guy in the first round. I said, okay, man, no problem, bro. I said, okay. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay, no problem. Obviously, anything in boxing can happen, but first round, I'm like, come on, man. You didn't even watch no tape on Madrimov. You never watched a man fight. Marcel says, I'm going to be honest, AK, I thought Madrimov won. I understand how you can think that, man. I'm not mad at that. I knew if it was close, Bud was going to get his hand raised. Yeah, Bud is on the other side of things, man. There's a lot of things invested in him right now. No way he was going to lose that fight, man. But again, I felt like Madrimov just gave Bud way too much respect. And I also felt like, he neglected the most important thing, and that's the jab. He didn't fully get consistent with that jab work. If he would have he did a good job of cutting off the ring. I thought he cut off the ring very well, very subtly, didn't waste a whole lot of energy doing that, but definitely he wasn't consistent with that jab. And maybe that would have helped him. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. So maybe it would have helped him. Maybe it wouldn't. Would the outcome be different? Maybe. Would it? Who knows? But good fight. Close fight. I would like to see Madrimov versus Tim Tszyu. That's a good fight as well, too. Now, I had heard a small article that said Bud would be willing to give Madrimov a rematch. I don't know if that's true or not. That probably doesn't happen. But, yeah, we'll see. That's a good fight as well, too. Vegas cashed in on all those casuals that bet on Crawford KO, TKO prop, man. A Bud knockout isn't anything crazy. I mean, he's on like an 8-9 fight knockout streak. I got no problems with that. But the people who were saying, Bud Crawford, first round stoppage, second round stoppage, easy money, Akeem. It's not going the distance. I said, wait a minute, man. Let's just see how this thing plays out now. Crawford Madrimov, I had the over 10 decision to win for Crawford. Madrimov got the Bivol Canelo treatment. We all know Bivol 10-2 over Canelo, judged at 7. Yeah. Bivol dominated Canelo, but as you said, that Canelo treatment, I thought Madrimov 175. Man, I'm curious, man. Let me know why you think Bud won the fight. What did you see that, or Madrimov won the fight? What did you see that made you say, you know what, yo, he won that fight? Just curious, what did you see that maybe I missed, some of us missed, so we can kind of gauge perspective here just to see. Wasn't a robbery for me. Crawford won it by 2 rounds at best. Really impressed by Madrimov. Shows big B's taking the fight, took it to Crawford, and we could tell Crawford was stepping up in weight. Absolutely. Also, the Turkey cinematic trailer for Crawford foreshadowed the fight going to the 12th round. Madrimov would have made the fight even crazier with a consistent jab and a 3 to 4 punch flurry. Yeah, man. I just felt like he showed Bud way too much respect, man. He definitely should have let his hands go a little bit and take a little bit more risk. I didn't see, that special lunging punch that he likes to do as much. I just felt like he might have been slightly worried about what was going to come back his way. But I thought he just showed too much respect. And if he didn't show that type of respect, there's a good chance he could have won that fight. If we was gonna see Bud versus Canelo, we needed to see that in 2013. Yeah, we're not seeing that anytime soon, man. Won't mind a rematch, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. I would like to see Bud settle at 154. The division is stacked enough for him to still make big money and get some really big fights, man. I mean, we're talking about a 154 division who, even if he doesn't fight the champions, it's still some great fights. Lubin's there, Ramos is there, obviously Fundora is there. It's great. It's a great division. Probably one of the more exciting divisions. 160 is not exciting. It's not an exciting division. But 154, really good fights. And we're gonna see, maybe we see the for the people who have been hitting me up about the Crawford and Spence at 154 as well too. Maybe we see that, if Errol Spence can get past Fundora whenever they get into the ring, and if Errol Spence just got a lot of question marks right now. I don't even think he has a trainer right now. Canelo went up like 5 divisions since then. Yeah, man. I couldn't imagine Canelo trying to make 147. Like, what would he look like? Or 154, what would he look like? He's not going back down. Perhaps Madrimov was hesitant of being countered heavily by Bud, especially once he experienced the power of Crawford. Believe me, Madrimov felt the power. You should check out the clinch. Bud is good. Yeah, Bud fought really nicely on the inside. That's when he landed some uppercuts and he put together those nice combinations on the inside. But I think both men respected the power of each other. We've seen Bud be a lot more aggressive in fights as well, too. So I think they both respected each other. But, for him to beat Bud, he was definitely going to have to do a lot more because Bud has seen everything at this point, man. And the way how he can handle the pressure, the way how he stays composed. And he's also got that switch. He's got that competitive nature about him where if it's a brawl, he's going to go there if he needs to. That's what I like about Bud, man, is he doesn't just have one specific style. He can go wherever the fight needs to go. Not everybody has that. Crawford, Spence, too. Undisputed at 154. I call this after the Fundora versus Stu fight. So you think Errol Spence is going to beat Fundora? You see that? That's what you're saying? Give Madrimov a comeback fight, winning fight versus Mendoza. Then I love him to fight Boachuk or Ortiz. Whoever wins that fight, gonna be a good fight. I bet goes the distance and over the 9.5 plus money. That's what I'm talking about, man. Too many people got carried away with the 10-0-1 pro record. My brother Eric R is talking about Madrimov, of course. I understand Canelo versus Crawford gets all the hype. I understand that, but it's not close fight with how unbelievable Crawford is going up 2 fights to fight a natural super middleweight in Canelo. The other thing, too, is, man, the bigger that you get, you sacrifice certain things. Crawford defensively at 147, Even at 140, 147, man, the reflexes, the reactiveness is just sharp and it's just there. At 154, man, he got caught. He got caught with some shots. But I just think moving up that quickly, man, to fight the top guy just like that. Bud fought one of the top guys at 154 just like that, but it wasn't particularly easy, and fighting Canelo at that weight where Canelo has definitely settled in at 168 now. I don't know, man. But again, if it happens, I'm going to watch it, and I would never count out Bud. But weight class division jumps are there for a reason, man. Exactly. If Madrimov put more out there, he would have won. I'm not saying Crawford don't have a chance. I actually think against this current Canelo, he has a chance. And the tools Crawford sees Canelo as the icing on the. Oh yeah, if he gets that fight, it's over with. He not going nowhere. He not going nowhere. It was a good boxing match. A lot of negotiating over Spence and positioning. This will be the toughest division Bud has been at, and it doesn't seem like his power is going to carry, but he may outbox everyone. And Bud has the skill and the talent to do that. He's been extremely dominant at 140. But he does have the skill to do both. If he wants to box on the outside, he could do that too. Wants to be the aggressor, he can do that too. I've been hearing obviously Fundora and Spence going around, man, but Fundora is a dangerous cat. I've been hearing Fundora and Bud. Fundora is a dangerous cat because of those physical advantages, man. He is easy to get hit, but he fought very well against Tim Tszyu. Now we know, Tim Tszyu had the blood gushing down his face. Brother couldn't even see. But there are some really competitive fights at 154, man. Don't blame Crawford for chasing after the money. He's right to do that. He's one of the greatest boxers of all time. Well, in my lifetime. And, in a joking way, but a not joking way. I mean, Bud's got 6 kids, man. Bud got 6 kids. He got 6 kids. He got to take those fights. He hadn't went decision since like 2015, which is crazy, isn't it? I just don't like fantasy nonsense, to be honest. I like fighting people in the same weight division or one division above at best. I would still favor Canelo massively just because he's natural at super middleweight. Absolutely, man. I think that's a great assessment. If you thought Bud you were swayed by the commentary. Bud's championship mental was why he won. He noticed that Madrimov wasn't doing enough to win, and he did what was necessary to win. Yeah, I agree, man. Again, if Madrimov let his hands go a little bit more, maybe things would have been different, but you can't be hesitant against a guy like Bud because he is going to pick you apart. He's too accurate, too sharp, too precise with the punches and the counters, man. Madrimov just didn't do enough to me personally. He just didn't do enough. He controlled the action, landed clean shots. The land percentage was way higher. I hear what you're saying, man. But again, I just still think he didn't do enough. He needed to let his hands go a little bit more. And if he would have done that, I think maybe it would have been a different outcome, man. And it's always interesting, right? Because I think Eddie Hearn said it. He was like, more times than not, they usually favor the champ, so they felt like Madrimov should have got a little benefit of the doubt. But I'm like, yeah, but like for the casual fan, they know Bud. They don't know Madrimov like that. We know Madrimov because we watch the sport of boxing and we know, who may be underrated, who may not, but Bud is too much of a name, man. Madrimov, you was not going to get that nod, get that edge. I had Bud winning 8-4. After seeing this fight, I think Ortiz might beat Crawford. The power of Ortiz is just different. Ortiz, he's in tough this weekend, man. And I like Ortiz, but he's in tough this weekend, man. Who you got winning, Tim Tszyu or Madrimov if they fought? This is a fight where I think Madrimov has let his hands go a little bit more because I don't think he would have the same respect for Tim Tszyu as he would for Terence Crawford. I think it's a good fight. I would lean Tim Tszyu to win this fight, man. I would lean Tim Tszyu to win this fight. I would lean Tim Tszyu to win this fight. I want Bud to become undisputed at 154, at least try. That's how far he can go before it's too much. And, I also don't think Bud is 36 now? I don't think he has too much more left, man. Maybe by 38, he's out the game. Maybe by 37, he's out the game. I don't see he has much more left. I think every fight moving forward, it's got to be big money or a championship fight. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Exactly. Sean was glazing. Talking about it 6-1, but was just 3-3 at that point. I'm team man down, but I'm putting that bag on Fundora. I know how to separate. I'm a realist, man. Honestly, bro, when that video comes, man, maybe I'll feel different at that time. But yeah, man, I don't know what the truth Errol Spence has left, man. I don't know. If Crawford becomes undisputed at 154, who would have a better career between Crawford and Mayweather? I think it would still be Floyd Mayweather, man, because and I think this is going to be one of the arguments when you talk about Bud. Bud is no doubt a Hall of Famer. Absolutely. All the division championships. The man is the real deal. Even if you don't know much about Bud and you just turn on the tape and you watch it based off the eye test, you can see the skill set and everything that he does possess. But when you pull up the resumes and you look at Bud's and you look at Floyd Mayweather, even though Bud won a lot of belts, a lot of championships, undisputed, you look at Floyd Mayweather's resume, Floyd fought some cats, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he fought them there were some fights where, Floyd probably fought them a year, 2 years too late. But still, the names, I think Floyd Mayweather has one of the best resumes in boxing today of all time, personally. But that's a good question, man. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this question right here. Man, this one is coming up tomorrow, man. I'm going to do Lopez and Leo tomorrow as well, too. So we got 2 coming up tomorrow. But this is a good fight, man. To this point, we haven't fully seen what Virgil Ortiz can do in this division in the recent couple of years. He's been stopping cats in the first round, some health complications. Boachuk is extremely confident coming off of a nice win against Mendoza, so he is going to be feeling good. So I think this is a good fight, man. But I'm going to have this one up tomorrow. I'm going to have it up tomorrow. The thing that surprised me the most last weekend was Morrell going the distance with Klages. 45-year-old Barrera after 4 years out of the ring. Hot Rod more hurt than Morrell. You got to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt, man. For me personally, Hot Rod is a natural 175. Morrell was coming up. So you give him a little bit of benefit of doubt, man. Spence Jr. will beat Fundora. PBC will not pass up another mega event. PBC needs it. Yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see. Bud was a weight bully at 147. You think so? He should be at 154, 160 max. Man, I've never heard someone say Terrence Bud Crawford was a weight bully. That's the first I'm hearing that. PBC can't get in the ring for Errol. All that inactivity. Go with Spence if you want to. I think he's shot. And this is coming from a guy who, man down through and through. My brother Eric R. is an Errol Spence guy, So for him to say that, man, he done left the camp of my guy Errol Spence, man. He done left the camp. Crawford was not a weight bully at 147, man. Again, I hadn't heard that before. I hadn't heard that one before. Big Ron in the house. What's going on, my guy, man? Good to see you. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in, man. Hope all is well, Big Ron, man. Also, Bud still has respectable power on 54. He cracked Madrov a few times, hurt him pretty bad in the 11th. He does, man. I got CTE stuttering. Yeah, man. Spencer's rough. The scorecard was pre-filled out. Hearn was mad. But shout out to Eddie Hearn, man. Eddie Hearn knows, man, look, that's the guy that gets behind their fighters. You don't have to like Eddie Hearn, but if you underneath his stable, he gonna sell the heck out of you, even if he might think you not gonna win the fight. Eddie Hearn, one of the best current promoters right now, man. He knows how to speak the language of the fighters. I like it. I like Big Eddie Hearn. Tim Tszyu is overrated. I hear you, man. You're not the first to say that. You're not the first to say that, Big Marcel, man. So I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Bud already 37. I don't see Bud fighting too much longer, man. It's got to make sense, and the money's got to be right. But I don't see him fighting too much longer. Father Time is undefeated, man. We know it's going to catch up to him at some point. Nick, what's going on, man? What's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in, man. Much love. The zone commentary was trash as usual. I hate listening to Mannix and Mora. Can't stand them both. Man, some of the stuff that they say, I'm just like, wait a minute. How did you see that? I didn't see that. But shout out to those guys, man. Shout out to those guys. The truth is told. He's a shot fighter. Anyone check on little Big Baby Anderson. He might still be asleep. Man, he probably about to cash that check. Probably at the mall somewhere about to get some shoes, man. Floyd got like 8 Hall of Famers on his resume. Crawford has 0. Man, Floyd, as I said, has one of the best records resume in boxing today of all time, in my opinion, man. Floyd fought some high-class fighters. Ortiz only... Is that Ortiz by decision or is that by stoppage? Bud was so sucked out at 147. He looked really sucked out in his last fight against Spence. Looked bad. To me, that's a weight bully when you got to be almost dead at fight there. But maybe he's outgrown the weight a little bit, and maybe he should have went up past that Spence fight. But, yeah, I don't know. I personally don't think so, man, but I hear what you're saying. All promoters get mad when their fighter don't win a close fight. They say nothing when their fighters benefit from it. It's business. It's always about business, man. That's always a great reminder. Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer. Early prediction. I like Michaela. Wait. Is this fight? Where is this fight? Is it over in the UK? Is this fight over in the UK? Mayer should still be unbeaten, robbed against Baumgartner and Jonas. Mayer, the most complete woman IQ boxer. Man, I felt like against Natasha Jonas, I felt like she got the nod. But if that was in neutral ground or maybe somewhere else, she would have got the nod. But she's over in the UK at the time, and Jonas got it done. Jonas fought a good fight too, but I definitely feel like Michaela won the fight. We got to see the battle of the big babies. I mean, they want to fight, but we'll see if that ever happens. What should Tim Tszyu pursue right now? Man, I thought he had a fight scheduled up for September, October. Am I seeing that? Did the person drop out? I could have swore I saw his name pop up with somebody. I don't know. I think he needs to fight somebody in a tough opponent. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Tim Tszyu and Eric Lubin. That would be a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. It's a competitive fight. And there's still somewhere to go for the winner of that fight. I would really like to see that fight. I bet Anderson by decision, but it would be fun. Ortiz for just to win the fight. Okay. D2B says against Baumgartner. Yeah, I felt like she lost against Baumgartner too. I thought that was a close fight. If you are talking about what Chris said, correct me if I'm wrong in that, but if that's what you're talking about, I felt like Baumgartner won, close fight, but I felt like Mayer beat Natasha Jonas. But we're going to see what Baumgartner does, man. She's got to fight Daphne Pursoon coming up as well, too. Think it's in the state. If it's in the States, then I am going Michaela Mayer. Early prediction. It could change, but I think it's early. If the early prediction you just asked about, I like Michaela Mayer. Jared Still to grow Baby Anderson versus serial drug cheat soft baby Miller. Yeah, for those that don't know, my brother Chris does not like Jarrell Miller, man. She lost to Baumgartner. Okay, so that's what you were talking about. New York City. That's going to be a good fight. But it's 37, but his big paycheck was last year. Think he wants a couple more paychecks before quitting. Absolutely, man. And when you got 6 kids, man, you got to take those checks. You got to take those checks. I like Terry Harper coming up. When is she fighting? Terry Harper's fighting soon? I did not know that. I did not know that. She's fighting back down. When is she fighting? Let me know. True, Floyd really faced great fighters. Floyd surely has 2 to 3 fights to go. Crawford surely has 2 or 3 fights to go. Then he calls it a day. I wish he can unify and give us another undisputed attempt at 154. Yeah, I'd like to see it. 154 is going to be a tough division for him, though, man. But it's hard to go against Bud in any fight. Let's wind things down a little bit. Here's my question for you guys that I talked about a little bit earlier, man. So going back to Crawford and Madrimov fight, I thought it was strange. And maybe it's just me, but I want to hear from you guys, man. Did you guys find it strange that they gave Turkey Al-Sheikh an honorary Hall of Fame plaque thing and welcomed him like that? I mean, I'm like, wait a minute, like, what's going on here? That was just a little bit strange to me. And I was trying to understand, like, why. I know they were saying because this man has been able to give the big fights so quickly. But I'm like, wait a minute. We have promoters who have been in doing this thing for decades and decades and decades, and they had to earn that type of accolade. And I'm like, what's going on? So I thought that was a little bit wild to me. What'd you guys think? Did you not pay any attention to it? Like, what'd you guys think about that? I didn't personally, man. I didn't like that, man. I don't think that was fair. That was just a little bit wild to me. But at the same time, Turkey Al-Sheikh, man, he gonna make the fights happen because he got the money. And so now that we know this man has the money, they're probably like, we got to make sure we stay buttered up with this guy to make sure that we can put on these fights. So I guess when I talk about it, like, I guess I can get the better understanding because, money is money. And if you got the money, I guess you can do those things. But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. But again, don't want to spend too much time on that, man. Just want to get you guys' perspective on that. Terry Harper shouldn't done that. Another waste of time. An easy victory for Dixon. I understand why Harper doing to win another title, but risky going down weight. Yeah, she's been going up and down in the recent years, man. Terry Harper gets infinite title shots. That is the absolute truth. It seems like every time she's fighting for a title. And I like Terry Harper. A few weeks against Rihanna Dixon. Okay, I got to put this one on the calendar. I didn't know that she was fighting. I didn't see any type of promotion for it or nothing. I don't think Harper anything to watch either, to be honest. Yeah, you're right, Big Marcel, bro. You're right, man. He's rich, and I get it. Turkey getting that award is weird and a disgrace. Besides, doesn't he and his crew chop up journalists? Man, I don't put nothing past nobody. I don't put nothing past nobody, man. It's I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's strange. Turkey deserves the honor. He will continue to do big things for boxing, man. I hear you, man. He probably owns Ride of Season. This bought a Mexican, Yeah, man. But if he's gonna pay these guys to get the big fights, great. I'd like to see it. It was strange unless those were the conditions that his excellence should get extra attention. I think Turkey's plaque was for the Nevada Hall of Fame. I would imagine they are just trying to keep him happy, so he chooses Vegas for some of his fights. That is a great perspective right there, Nick. You're right about that, man. Keep him over there, right, to help us make these big fights. And then, I don't know if you guys saw it, but they were talking about it being a sellout fight, but there were some seats in there. I was like, Did he try to pull a fast one on us? I'm like, yo, what's going on here? And I think Bud deserves to have a sold out fight. He's that exciting to watch, but very interesting, man. And then I heard somebody else say, Turkey Al Sheik, he's doing it for his own promotion to make, you know, the country look good and this and that. So I've been hearing a lot of things about it, man. Well, I said from the start, calling him His Excellency is so cringeworthy. Yes, thank you for giving us the fights we want, but promoters only working together because of Saudi money. And it always speaks. Money always speaks. Your thoughts about Simone Biles and the Olympics, man. You know, until you watch Simone Biles, like you don't really understand what she can do. When you watch other gymnasts do their thing, and there are some really excellent gymnasts out there, when you watch them, especially the floor routine, and you watch the height that she gets, the amount of flips and spins that she can do, the body control, and then to land and to nail it, it's incredible, man. Like if you've never watched Simone Biles, man, I think you should take 5 minutes and go check it out. It's incredible watching her. And it was a lot of pressure on her because of, maybe you've seen the documentary, maybe you haven't. But in the last Olympic Games, she had the twisties, as she was saying, and that, for her to come back after that and then to nail that same similar jump and to win. But from a natural athleticism, man, she gets more height. She's more explosive than some of the men gymnasts. Like, it's crazy, man. So, yeah, she's spectacular. She's spectacular. But the Brazilian Andrade, man, she's a beast as well too, man. I think she beat Simone Biles in one of the individual events today or yesterday. So excellent performance and exciting. But Simone Biles, man, I don't know. I don't think there's ever going to be another woman like her. What she can do, the explosiveness, the power, the body control. Yeah, she's a beast, man. Off topic, so you don't have to get detailed. What are Canada and Jamaica's chances to win medals in the remaining Olympic competitions? Obviously, the favorite, my brother Francisco, is going to be America, man. In most of the events, they're the most dominant country. When you see facilities that America has, is crazy. They pour a lot of money into the sport. Great coaching. So they're probably, as they have been for the past 8, 9, 12 years, last decade, they're probably going to emerge with the most medals. But at the same time, there's been some other events around the Olympics this year that the Americans were expected to dominate, but they haven't. I think the gap is closing in certain areas. They were expecting to get a lot of medals in swimming, but Leo Merchant, the French swimmer, man, he's been having a spectacular Olympic Games. That man be backstroking, that man be breaststroking. I'm like, yo, this man's the truth. So I think certain parts of the world is catching up with America in certain sports. They're going to be dominant in track, basketball, certain things in swimming, gymnastics, but other countries are catching up too. So if we're talking about medal count, America is going to win the most. Canada is getting better. They're developing. They're still building, but they should finish in the top 10. Jamaica, they're not going to have much more. They're mainly in the sport of track and field, is where they get the majority of their medals, is going to be in track and field. They got a judo guy, but I think he lost in the 16. They got a decent swimmer. But the majority of the medals for Jamaica is definitely going to come in track and field. But it's getting better, man. It's getting better. But America should walk away with it. UFC at the Sphere, presented by Radices Mexican. Man, did you guys see the video of Turkey Al Sheik walking in with Dana White holding hands, and how awkward Dana White looked? I just found it interesting. I was like, yo, that's kind of wild, man. But money talks. It feels like the power that be are trying to keep a third undisputed out of Bud's reach. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stripped Mel Charler so fast. Man, they stripped Mel quick. I've never seen somebody get stripped so quick. Canelo fights went to 175 and held all of his belts and never got stripped. So it's very interesting, man. She was meant to fight Dixon on the Catterall Prograis card. Okay. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I think I like Turkey bringing the fights to UK and USA better atmosphere than in Saudi. Yeah. And I think, when they move the fight from Saudi, I think it looks better from a global perspective of more inviting. I think some people are still afraid to go to Saudi Arabia, honestly, man. Allowing he stays that way, then perfect. Simone Biles is a cheat code of an athlete, probably the most insane athlete I've ever seen in my lifetime. Shout out to Andre, man. And I like how Simone and Jordan Childs paid that respect to Andre. And even Simone said, she was like, yo, I don't like competing against this girl. It's too close. Andre, I felt like in one of her performances, man, they gave her the short end of the stick and gave her a bad score because her all-around performance, man, was near perfect. Have you seen the controversy of the Olympics boxing and women's fight that the Algerian been born a woman but had higher testosterone than her opponent? Yes, I did see that. And that's what I forgot to add to the show. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that too. To me, it wasn't a big of a shock as many others would be seeing and saying, because there are a couple track and field athletes that have the same exact thing down to a T. There was a girl named Caster Semenya. She was born a woman, but her testosterone was high and she looked like a man, but she was a woman and she was dominating the sport of track and field. I mean, dominating. And so they said, look, this is what you got to do. You got to take the pills to regress the testosterone or you can't run anymore. And so, we haven't seen Caster Semenya since that time. However, what she was running back then, there is about 4 or 5 girls that are running the same times that Caster was running and faster. So it was a little bit unfair. Now I think she should be able to come back. There was another couple girls in the track and field. They were 400-meter runners as well too, and they were young and they were dominating. Their testosterone was higher as well too, and they were doing really, really well. And then, they got banned and the federation said, yo, you can't run the 400. You got to go down to the 200 and the 100. So they abided by the rules. And then they went down to the 100 and one of them were Olympic medalists, but they said, if you want to come back, you have to go on the pill. Like you have to take things down. And now that her testosterone has regressed and it's been down, we haven't seen her since. So I just think, man, it's unfortunate because how you were born was how you were born. If you were born with certain body parts, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you're born with certain body parts, then you are that until proven otherwise, unless you have surgery where you change your body parts. It's tough. It's tricky situation. But I just wish they would be the same for everybody across the board in all sports. But the thing with the Algerian boxer, her professional record isn't that great. She's like 35 and like 9, so it's very, very, very tough situation to be in. Some women naturally have more testosterone than the average woman. Should we also ban Fundora for being taller than absolutely everyone else in his weight class? That's a good perspective right there. My issue is if she's a woman, then fine, we move. She's just strong. But if she's a man, that's what needs banning. I agree. I don't think if you were born a man and you transition to a woman, you should not be able to play with women and play women's sports. There's certain things that it's just not going to be fair if that's the case. But I think she was born a woman, and I think her testosterone levels is just a little bit higher. But tough thing, man. And again, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe she wins, maybe she doesn't. But she has been performing well under all of the scrutiny and everything that she had to deal with. but definitely can be tricky to put your thumb on it to really solidify what it is. But let's finish out. You know how we finish out the weekly shows? We like to finish with a quote of the week, man. This week's quote of the week comes from Nelson Mandela, where he said, "It is in the character of growth that we should learn from both pleasant and unpleasant performances." We talked at the beginning about Jared Anderson and Martin Bakole and what happened to Jared Anderson, right? This was a very unpleasant experience from him. Nothing good came out of it. We don't know that yet. So how does Jared Anderson make it pleasant, right? He's got to go back to the gym. But at first, he's going to be probably at home sitting down on the couch. You know, he's got a baby now and he's got some decisions to make. Do I want to leave this here? Do I want to just walk away from it? I got beat up. It is what it is. Or does he use the unpleasant experience and use to his advantage and get back into the gym? Maybe he makes some different training adjustments. Maybe he switches trainers. There's a lot of things that he can do to get back into where he needs to be. And it's a lot of things that are just like that when we talk about life in general, right? Nelson Mandela, if you don't know his story is a popular story, so I'm sure many of you might know Nelson Mandela. You know, if my brother Siboney's is still here, he's from South Africa, so he definitely knows. I don't know someone with the level of poise of Nelson Mandela, in the sense of he went to jail for something, and then he came out with no hate in his heart, with all love, for a crime that, you know, he got put in a terrible position, and he came out and made an unpleasant experience and made it an extremely pleasant experience, and moved his country and made the country better. I think a lot of times in life, man, whether we get hit in life and we get put in positions where it feels like the walls are closing and we feel like we don't know how we're going to come out of it, and we feel like we don't know what's going to come next, and we feel confused and we're not sure what's to come, man, it's very unpleasant in that moment. But if we can hang on and take things one day at a time and remember that no season of hardship lasts forever, we can learn and build and cultivate that strength and that loss and that hardship and that moments when we had to doubt, to make us more resilient and to make us a more experienced, pleasant version of ourselves for the future. So when I think about this quote, man, it just reminds me, man, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many setbacks you may face, no matter how many unpleasant moments that you experience in life, if you can take and find the good in the chaos, in the rough moments, you will be okay, because you will gain the experience and you will learn how to handle situations better. One thing I tell my siblings all the time, man, I said, every unpleasant experience, every hardships that I've had, I'm going to share the lessons and the experience with you, so you don't have to be unequipped to deal with it if you may face it. And I think that's what the unpleasant experience show us. If it doesn't stop us, what we go through, we can pass down to others that's going to come behind us, man. So when I hear this, when I read this, the character and the growth we should learn from pleasant and unpleasant experience, man, you do not inherit character. Your experiences form and mold it, and you become a person of character through your experiences. So everybody, before we go, I appreciate all of you that taking the time to lock in with me for an hour and 39 minutes, man. I appreciate each of you. And every single day, just remember, man, you don't inherit character every day. You got to build it. You got to cultivate it by the choices that we make every single day. I appreciate each of you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll definitely see you next week for another weekly show. Much love and appreciation for each of you. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next time.